Chapter 31. Compromise achieves nothing. 20 to 30 years ago, in circumstances more favorable, we Catholics tried compromise. We asked only for liberty. And what did we gain? Except for a few minor concessions that did not last, we gained nothing. Nothing. We are now like strangers in a foreign land, but we are not subversives. Are we to be denied the liberty to wish things were different? Some liberty. Yet the liberal Catholics' own experience is against them. We have the right to speak of it. We shared that experience. We had the same goals, the same feelings as they did. The experience took a long time. The times seemed as favorable then as they seem unfavorable now. Though we were few in number, our unity made us strong. The Constitution then in force made us a force to be reckoned with. It gave us advantages for which we were grateful, and promises we wanted to believe, and that drew us on more than its refusals put us off. Translator's note. The Constitution, or Charte, to which Veuillot refers is that published by King Louis XVIII, who lived from 1755 to 1824, in 1814, after his return to France with the defeat of Napoleon and the restoration of the Bourbon monarchy. The Constitution assured equal liberty under the law for all citizens, and was even more liberally interpreted under the July monarchy of Louis Philippe, 1830 to 1848. When Veuillot speaks of various constitutions as liberal victories and signs of hope, he undoubtedly refers to the various declarations of the rights of man emanating from the French Revolution, promising liberty, fraternity, and equality, as well as to the constitutions of Louis XVIII, 1814, and of Louis Philippe, 1830, symbolic of a departure from the ancient regime of appointed monarchs and leading nobility. End translator's note. Whoso desired that the Constitution be true? Who could have been better disposed? Who put his hopes in it more sincerely and more ardently than we did? Always maintaining our rejection of the revolutionary doctrine and principle, what were we rejecting in practice? What did we ask beyond the power to oppose liberty to liberty? We did not form an isolated party, nor one of little importance. We had princes of the Church at our head, one above all, as eminent by his character and by his talent as he was by his position. He was the Bishop of Langres, who has just died while occupying the See of Arras, beloved of God and honored of men. Bishop Parisis studied this question of the harmony between religion and liberty, less to know what the Church must hold on to than to understand what she may give up. A text which received his approval sums up the program of the Catholic party. The Catholics have declared to the leaders, the intellectuals, and the priests who hold modern ideas, we accept your dynasties and your constitutions. We leave you your spoils. We only ask you one thing, and that is our strict right, even in your eyes, liberty. We wish to fight and to convince you by liberty alone. Cease to subject us to your monopolies, your hindrances, and your prohibitions. Let us teach freely, as you do. Let us associate freely for the works of God, as you do for the works of the world. Open all careers to the noble aspirations that you seem only able to deal with by restrictions or compromises. And do not fear our liberty. It will cleanse and save your own. Where we are not free, no one shall long be free. Translator's note. declaration by the author concerning Bishop Paris's. Pierre-Louis Paris's died the year Veuillot was writing The Liberal Illusion. He had launched the battle for academic freedom in 1843 by his brochure, Academic Freedom, an investigation of the issue from a constitutional and social viewpoint. Napoleon Bonaparte had organized the educational system under the control of the state and its university. Catholics had managed to bypass this monopoly to a certain extent, and the question of a law favorable to Catholics was not a novelty. Louis Veuillot seconded Bishop Paris's efforts to rally Catholics into a united front by means of his newspaper, The Universe. The battle for such a law did not seem to unite all French Catholics, whatever had been their loyalties, but the victory of 1850 with the Veuillot law, after Frederick, Count of Veuillot, 1811 to 1886, Minister of Public Instructions and Religious Affairs from 1848 to 49, and principal author of the law, polarized the debate between liberal Catholics and non-liberals. Bishop Dupanloup and Montalembert were members of the commission that drafted the law. Thiers would have signed the direction of all primary schools over to the clergy, but the liberal Catholics did not want the Church to have a privilege over other groups. Thus Catholics were given considerable freedom to found Catholic institutions, but the monopoly of the state was confirmed in principle, and the state gained the right to oversee every school and its curriculum, even those formally exempt, such as minor seminaries. The academic liberty of the Church depended on the goodwill of the state, and the Veuillot law later permitted an anti-clerical government to suppress religious education entirely at the end of the 19th century and well into the 20th. End translator's note. That is what we asked for, and without trying to praise or denigrate anyone beyond his due, our adversaries in that battle were more serious, more sincere, more enlightened, and more reasonable men than our adversaries today. Among them were Guiznot, Thiers, Cousin, Villemain, Broglie, Salvandi, and their head, King Louis Philippe. None of these leaders of the party in power were irreligious or anti-Christian fanatics, such as we have seen since. Their subsequent attitude proved that, to their honor. What is more, they believed in liberty, or at least they wanted to believe in it. Yet what did we obtain from them, from their wisdom, their moderation, and their sincerity? Alas! It is as simple to tally up it as a bitter thing to say. We obtained nothing, strictly nothing, nothing at all. Then, in 1848, an upheaval occurred which frightened them, and the fright succeeded where reason, justice, and the Constitution had failed. Under the shock of fright, they allowed us some small gains, but with the scarcely hidden intent to reduce or annul these advantages soon after. The storm passed. Those of our adversaries that had humbled showed no spectacular signs of a conversion, but those who reared their heads again seemed unable to forgive themselves for having been frightened by the thunder. In general, they now seemed more hostile than ever. Translator's note. King Louis Philippe, who lived from 1773 to 1850, of the House of Orleans, the citizen king, embraced these liberal principles when he was brought into power by the Revolution of 1830 against the conservative King Charles X, and a constitutional monarchy was established. The catastrophe refers to the deposition of Louis Philippe and the Socialist Revolution of 1848, followed by the establishment of the Second Republic. The men Veuillot names were political figures involved in the debate for academic freedom. Not all were openly anti-Catholic. François Guzenot, who lived from 1787 to 1874, was Minister of Foreign Affairs, then Prime Minister under Louis Philippe. He had presented a law for academic reform in 1836, giving the Church control over primary schools, and did not believe that the law of 1850 was satisfactory for the Church. Adolphe Thiers, who lived from 1797 to 1877, was a long-time minister under Louis Philippe, then First President of the Third Republic. Bishop de Panlou won him over to the Catholic cause as he understood it, and he helped negotiate the Fallow Law. Victor Cousin was a liberal author and politician who wished to maintain the state monopoly, but who, like Thiers, was later influenced by Bishop de Panlou to a greater cooperation in forging a law acceptable to liberal Catholics. Abel François Villemain, who lived from 1790 to 1870, Minister of Public Instruction under Louis Philippe, drafted a similar law in 1844, judged insufficient by many Catholics, including Veuillot. Jacques-Victor Albert, Duke of Broglie, who lived from 1821 to 1901, was a liberal Catholic, friend of Montalembert. Narcisse Achille Salvandi, who lived from 1795 to 1856, was Minister of Public Instruction under Louis Philippe. He too had proposed a law for educational reform in 1847. End translator's note. Have we then changed our ideas and taken back our previous practical support and cooperation for modern society? The liberal Catholics claim we have, but they delude themselves. We said then, and we say today, that the philosophical basis of modern constitutions is ruinous, and that it exposes nations to certain danger. Never have we said that one may or should use violence to change that basis, nor that one should never lend practical support to these constitutions, insofar as they are not contrary to the laws of God. Rather, quite independently of our own volition, the state of affairs is one in which we find ourselves to be like strangers in a foreign land, observing the general laws that regulate public life, exercising the rights of a citizen and fulfilling the obligations incumbent upon us, but refraining from entering the temples to offer incense. The author of these pages, if he may allow himself to propose such an example, has long practiced the liberty of the press, and asks to exercise it still, but for all that he does not in least believe, nor has he ever believed, that the liberty of the press is a good thing in itself. In short, we hold nearly the same line of conduct regarding these constitutions as citizens and general hold with regard to taxation. We pay our taxes while asking that they be reduced. We obey the constitutions while asking that they be improved. We make no more fuss than that, as liberal Catholics well know. If that is still too much, if we are meant always to pay our taxes without ever finding them heavy, if we are meant to transfer to modern constitutions the religious belief we are now meant to refuse to supposedly out-of-date dogmas, if the only improvement we are meant to wish for is a more radical departure from any Christian ideas, then what liberty will we have left? And if that is all the liberty that liberal Catholics will have, what advantages do they think they will get out of it?